Shabbat Shalom, Israel, and welcome after the debacle. And I apologize again for the technical issues we had last night. I have to give a shout out also to Naviska 23. I don't know if they're here, but I did go to the front desk and they did give me an Ethernet cable. So I was able to put that in, and hopefully that fixes the situation. Greetings to the 12 tribes that are scattered into the four corners of the earth, who are the actual bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the actual bloodline of Messiah himself. Greetings. And greetings also to the 144,000 who are among them, preparing to be sealed for the final call, preparing for the return, all preparing for the return of Messiah Yahushua. Greetings. Greetings also to the Gentiles who took the bold stand to stand for the truth of the downtrodden, scattered children of Israel, the true children of Israel, and the Hebrew Messiah, who even the Gentiles who take this stand recognize as a black man. Greetings and blessings to you, our brothers through faith. Also, blessings. Speaking of blessings, upon those that work in the healthcare field and those who are the first responders, seeking to save lives every day, even on Shabbat. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage, to keep streets and sidewalks clean and disease-free. Blessings also upon those that make deliveries for our convenience, and double blessings on the men and women trying to deliver the young teenagers, the boys, the girls, the children, and the adults who have been sold into sex slavery and human trafficking. Those that are the victims of prostitution and child prostitution. Those who are the victims of pornography and child pornography, of child molestation and pedophilia. Blessings upon the victims and those trying to deliver the victims. And double curses, I pray, from the Most High upon the perpetrators, the perverts, and the profiteers that traffic in this human misery to get their jollies off and make $1. Double curses upon them in their souls. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and most importantly, children on the streets of the United States of America with no roof over their head. And millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the soon coming kingdom. And on those trying to help. Greetings and blessings to the chat. Again, thank you, Naviska 23. I did get the Ethernet. I went down, just like I said, and sure enough, just to let you all know, this has been some trip. It's interesting. I was reading in my, in our Bible study, which now is in February is in the 11th month of our annual reading. We started last year, as you know, reading the Bible starting on April 1st. And this is now February. And so we're in the 11th month of the reading. And I was in James last week. And I was in James, and, I want to tell you, this has nothing to do with the Bible study. We're going to be studying Revelation, the two witnesses today. But I just want to tell you, as part of the testimony, how we got here. I was reading James, okay? And in James, there's a part in James where it says in the beginning, chapter 1, beginning at verse 2, okay? Verse 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm past James now, but listen to this. James chapter 1, verse 2, 3, and 4. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. And as I meditated on that, I realized, one of the greatest attributes we could have in these last days is patience. And so but from previous history, I knew that when you pray to the Most High to bring you the character attribute of patience, there's only one way he brings it. He brings it through trial. And usually they're short trials, but sometimes they could be long trials. So when I was flying here, after that, I was flying here to go to Mexico, right? So on the flight, we had to go from Washington, D.C. to Dallas first, and then switch planes. Well, the flight ended up being an hour and a half longer than supposed to, because the pilot said there was a bad storm and he had to fly another route, and it was going to be an hour and a half extra on that flight. No problem. So we get to Dallas, Fort Worth, and I have to rush to catch the connecting flight. I was actually going to fly into San Diego and drive through. So when I get to my gate, right, I hear an announcement. Now I'm thinking, because I see they said they're getting ready to board in 25 minutes on my flight. So they said, okay, this is for Chicago. And I'm looking to go to San Diego at this gate. And they like, God, this is for Chicago. And he says, the San Diego flight is still going on, but I'm just letting you guys know also Chicago's coming out of here. Oh, but I care about that. Okay, fine. So before we get on the plane, there was another delay because they said 3 seats were broken. And they got to fix the seats before y'all get on the plane. So we didn't actually get on the plane till later. So then, get to San Diego. I'm standing there waiting for my bags at the carriage. And I waited for a minute. My bags never was there. So I said to the lady, this is from San Diego, from Dallas, right? Yes. Well, where's my bag? You got to ask the people at the airline. I go in there. Oh, your bag is lost. It went to Chicago. Okay. I'm staying cool, right? Okay. So I'm in San Diego. I'm going to Los Algodones, Mexico, which is across the border from a place called Yuma, Arizona, which basically is 3 hours away from that airport. You can come back to this airport tomorrow and get your bag. I said, no, I can't. I'm going to be in Yuma, Arizona. I need the bag in Yuma, Arizona. Okay, we'll deliver it, they said. That was Thursday. On my way from there, okay, cool. I go to the rent-a-car, which I had prearranged. I already had my reservation. Oh, we're sorry. Because your plane was late, we don't have your reservation anymore. We got to see if we can find a car for you. So I waited. Finally, they got me a car. Car was all dented up. And you know, you don't want to be charged for a car. You don't take out a rent-a-car that's damaged, y'all, because they'll say that you did it. So I said, no, I don't want this car. This car is damaged. And mind you, they had to find me that car. They just happened to have another one right next to it. I said, I'll take that one. So I go out. Okay. Oh, I had to pay extra for the car because they lost my reservation and didn't have cars. So I'm driving across the desert. I get to Yuma, Arizona. Don't have my bag. I finally get there at 1:30 in the morning to the hotel. And they said, oh, your bag's going to be here tomorrow morning. Of course, it wasn't. Then it was Friday. Your bag's going to be here by 5. Of course, it wasn't. So I get an email saying your bag was delivered. Now I keep going to the front desk, asking my bag. They know me now. Oh, no, your bag ain't coming yet, sir. I've been down here 4 or 5 times, right? So patience. I'm staying cool. I'm telling you, it's not easy. Okay. So I had to go to the store and get me some jeans because on the flight, my jeans ripped. My jeans ripped. I had a big hole in the crotch of my jeans. So I had to go to the store. I wondered how many people see my underwear while I was walking through the airport. So I had to go to Walmart and get some jeans. Of course, I just grabbed the jeans, came back home. They didn't fit. I had to go back again, replace the jeans, right? This time I tried them bad boys on, and then I took them, right? So I'm thinking, man, maybe I should buy some underwear because I ain't got no underwear, ain't got a clean shirt, I ain't got nothing to shave. The hotel gave me something to shave. I said, nah, my bag's gonna be here today. Didn't show up yesterday at all. And they claim it was delivered, right? So this morning, man, now I'm getting mad, but I'm reminded, don't blow up, stay cool. So I drove to the Yuma airline, go to the guy, and I told him what happened. And he asked for certain numbers or case number, whatever. I had all that because of. So I gave it to him. Went in the back, came back. Sorry, sir, your bag's not here. So I said, you sure? Because I showed him the email. I said, it was delivered to Yuma Airport yesterday, and I didn't get it. He said, really? Let me look one more time. So he goes in the back, and he comes out with the bag. So I said, look, just out of curiosity, how come you didn't see it the first time? He said, I was looking in a certain section, and it was over here with the other bags. I took my bag back, came back. Now, all this time, they ain't come clean my room. I've been here 3 days now. I have to go and say, can somebody pick up the garbage in my room, please? And then when I open my bag, now, I take these enzymes. I'm not going to tell you what kind of, because they ain't paying me, but there's these digestive enzymes I take, helps you digest your food, and I take them, and I had them in my bag, in my suitcase. When I opened the suitcase, the TSA, I went through my suitcase, and they dumped all of the pills all over the suitcase. When I opened the suitcase, the bottle was empty, and all the pills were all over the suitcase because they had checked. I guess they thought these were drugs or something. And I started laughing. Because I was like, this is crazy, man. This little bottle of digestive enzymes cost $55. This ain't cheap. And so I said, $55 of pills all over the suitcase. I guess I should be thankful they were still in the suitcase. I just had to go through the whole suitcase, take all my clothes out and get. And then y'all know what happened last night when we started to do the Bible study, right? Woo, man, I was praising the Most High. Oh, man. So that was, yeah. And so I reminded myself this morning, just because you leave in here tomorrow, don't think this trial is over. So I'm trying to stay cool and be prepared. Who knows what's going to come next, But at least I got a clean pair of underwear and a clean shirt. Praise the Most High. And some deodorant. Woo, man, this has been something. So I went downstairs last night as this brother. I don't know if it's brother Naviska 23 or sister Naviska 20, but I went down there. And yep, they had the Ethernet cable. So praise the Most High. Hopefully, we will have no problem today with our Bible study. Praise the Most High, Yah. I was praising Yah because I tell you what, in my heart, oh man, I was blowing up. But when I came to people, I was brother Naviska. Sorry, yeah, brother Naviska. Thank you. Sorry. So brother Naviska, thank you, because I did get the Ethernet cable, but I stayed cool. I was praying. I was like, don't blow up. This is a test. After a while, I recognized this is a test, man. This straight test. So you know what's going on. When you recognize what's happening, you know what you got to do. To me, that means like stay cool. Don't trip, right? Stay cool. Hold on. Don't trip, stay cool. And so I was blowing up inside, especially when I went to the, they said they delivered it. It never got here. Oh man, that was, whoo, praise the Most High. That's what happened when you ask for patience. And I'm glad, I asked, I'm not going front, but I'm going to, we're going to need that. It's not, I could tell you more. There was actually more, but I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to, make anybody look bad. But it was interesting, put it that way. It was interesting. So we are studying the 6 trumpets of Revelation. Well, the 7 trumpets. And I was telling y'all yesterday, by the grace of the Most High, that the churches and the seals and the trumpets move in harmony. Okay? And 6 is man's number. 6 is man's number. Which is why the beast number is 666. because it stands for three entities that focus on man as God. Okay, and I wanted to bring you back there because the answer, Yah's answer to man as God, is the 144,000. Okay, that's his answer. And he brings the 144,000 in each 6 as an answer, right? It's interesting. So the answer to 666 is Yah's 144,000. 7's mean it's done, it's complete. So I wanted to, and yesterday I wanted to show you because it's important that we understand how when things started and how when things are going to finish, they're going to end up at the same place. Okay, I want you to see that. And that's when you're looking at these things, it's good to keep that in mind. So let's go back where we were yesterday. Genesis chapter 1. Okay, Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, beginning at verse 24. Genesis 1, beginning at verse 24 and going to verse 31. Genesis 1, 24 to 31. And Yah said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And Yah made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And Yah saw that it was good. And Yah said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Yah created man in his own image. In the image of Yah created he him. Male and female created he them. And Yah blessed them, and Yah said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And Yah said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And Yah saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the 6th day. So man was made on the 6th day. When he was made on the 6th day, there are things that we should consider that people do not consider most of the times. At least I haven't heard someone consider it, but it's important for understanding in terms of the kingdom. When Yah made man on the 6th day, and we know that the 7th day was the Sabbath. He created the Sabbath on the 7th day as a sign of completion, as a sign that that's pretty much like when an artist finishes a work of art, they put their little sign, their signature on it. The Sabbath is Yah's signature saying, I made all this. And I'm the artist, I'm the creator. And Sabbath represents my signature. Okay, that time frame. And those that honor the Sabbath are honoring Yah as that creator, right? So on the 6th day, when he made man and beast, you saw, like, for example, man's diet. Man's diet was fruit. That was his diet. Fruit is described here. It's described, for example, it says every herb bearing seed that has seed within it, and everything on the fruit of a tree that has seed. That's your food, he said. So initially, man's diet consisted of fruit. Now, it's important to understand the earth in that state was in a sinless state. There was no sin on the earth. Man was in a sinless state. There was perfect righteousness and harmony in all the atmosphere of the earth. The water, the air, the animals, man, everything was in harmony with each other and with the Creator. Okay? So the earth was pure. There was no rot. There was no taint. There was no pollution. It was all pure. So now, with that in mind, understanding the purity of the earth at that time, the Creator says to Adam and Eve, I want you to replenish the earth. I want you to multiply. Now, think about that. You have two pure beings that were created at the hand of the Creator, made from the Creator's hand, in his own image. And he commands them to multiply. What does that mean? That means his thing was, I want you to fill the earth with beings like you. You understand? I want you to fill the earth with beings like you, perfect in righteousness, perfect in wisdom, perfect in harmony with the earth and with me. I want you to fill the earth with people like you. Okay? So that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, you have two perfect beings that were made from the hand of the Creator. And he's telling those two beings, I want you to have lots of babies like you. Okay? So in that sense, you will understand in the state of sinlessness that the earth was in, that Adam was in, and that Eve was in, for them to have a lot of babies, we're going to be sinless children. You follow? And the animals didn't eat each other. They didn't kill each other. Look, it said, and he gave food for the animals. He said, for the animals, in verse 30, to every beast of the earth and to every fowl of the air and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein is life, I have given every green herb for meat. So every animal, the tigers, the leopards, the snakes, everything ate green herbs. They didn't eat each other. They didn't attack man. Man didn't eat them, didn't attack man. So there was a perfect harmony and balance. There was no destruction. There was no fighting. There was no greed. And the Most High said to Adam, I'm going to let you be in charge of the earth. This is for you to manage. This is your earth. I'm giving it to you. Be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion over this planet of righteousness that I created. That's the way you should see it, because that's the way it was. You understand? Y'all seeing what I'm saying? So that was the original. Now, I want you to understand, at the end, when the kingdom is established, it's going to be like that. In the sense that there'll be no more sin. Everything will be in harmony, and everyone will be in harmony with each other and with the Creator. There'll be certain things that are on the earth that will remind everyone of the journey to get back there. And those things, for example, there'll be marks on Messiah. There'll be marks on him. Marks on his hands, on his feet, on his head, on his side. Those marks will remain. And that will be a reminder of what it cost for us to get back to this. What disobedience cost to fix. Also, there'll be a new Jerusalem as the city, because it'll be a reminder that he has a chosen people who through his grace were perfected as his chosen people upon the earth. That it will be a reminder that because of the sin of those people, that Messiah came and they have been restored. And Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will be witnesses. Witnesses. And the 144,000 are going to be witnesses to the restoration. And so that's why you're going to see that at the end. But everything is going to be in harmony again. That's the point. There's going to be a perfection of spirit. There's going to be perfection of love. There's going to be perfection of wisdom. There'll be no more greed. There'll be no more disease or death as it was in the beginning. It will be that way at the end. And so everything that we're going to see in the book of Revelation is leading to that. And because he has chosen Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's children, they are the focal point. Because why? He chose us because of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and we sinned. We embarrassed him. He says that in many places in his word. We're going to come right back to Genesis in a second, but let's look in Ezekiel really spells this out pretty well. Ezekiel chapter 36 spells this out very well, but all of the prophets do, especially the major prophets. But let's take a look at Ezekiel 36. I'm going to start at verse 16 and go down to verse 23. Okay, watch this very carefully. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. So that our fathers defiled the land that he promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay. Wherefore I poured out my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries according to their way, according to their doings. I judged them. So he scattered us to the four corners of the earth. He took us off the land. We are mixed in with all of the Gentiles and treated badly among the Gentiles. I think that's pretty obvious. And let's continue. And when they entered unto the heathen whither they went, they profaned my holy name. When they said to them, These are the people of Yahweh, are gone forth out of his land. But have pity for my holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen whither they went. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen whither ye went. So we are profaning his name among the heathen, where we have been scattered. And he's going to restore us for his holy name's sake. And so we are going to be the crown achievement of grace that all the rest of the earth is going to behold. And that's going to be at the end. So the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that are going to be restored from the four corners of the earth, that alone is a miracle. He's restoring us through the centuries by bloodline from the four corners of the earth. He's going to bring back to our mind who we are. He's going to bring us back from dust and from the sea and from all the places where we be. And he's going to have the 144,000 there as an example of the power of his salvation. And so all the earth is going to give praise to Yah because of what he has done. Now let's finish. I said verse 23. And I will sanctify my name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, saith the Most High Yahweh, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. So he's going to show the heathen and the Gentiles that are saved what his grace has done. They're going to be praising him and giving him honor because they were also among those that spit, kicked dirt and went on us when we were among them. But those that are repentant among them will give praise, understanding where he has brought us from the lowest back to the highest. And we're going to give praise, understanding that we don't deserve any of this. That is only because of his holy name. Okay, so when you started at Genesis, you didn't see all that. You just saw he made these things and he set them in motion. But at the end, it's going to be highlighted how righteous the Father is, how merciful the Father is, how gracious the Father is to lost humans, especially to a people that he chose because of his friendship with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, and so we're going to be examples of that power of grace. And those Gentiles that come also are going to be examples, and we're all going to give praise and honor to the Father. That's what it comes down to. Okay, now with that backdrop, with the understanding of what the Creator made and what he set up and what his intentions were and how he made Adam manager of the earth and how he wanted Adam to have lots of babies like their self. Let's go back to Genesis now. We understand Genesis now. Look at Genesis chapter 3 and we'll look and see what happened next. Okay, this is an important change in what the Creator originally made. So he tells them, I'm going to give you this beautiful garden. And the crown jewel of the beautiful garden is this tree. This is a particular special tree above all the trees that I have made. This tree is to extend your eternal existence. So the more you eat of this tree, you will continue to exist forever. This tree is called the tree of life. Okay, now you have a choice. There's another being in the universe that wants your worship. He didn't make you. He didn't make all of this that I made here. But because he wants your worship, there's a tree here. It's the knowledge of good and evil. My command to you as my created beings is do not touch that tree. Do not eat of that tree. Because if you eat of that tree, you're cut off from the tree of life and you will die. And you will cease to exist. Now, when I put it to you like that, you say to yourself, that's an easy choice. My Father who made me is telling me that there's this other being who didn't make me and didn't make anything here that I am, that I'm with, and he wants me to worship him. And his tree will cut me off from the tree of life. This is an easy choice. You would think, right? Genesis chapter 3, beginning at verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh Most High had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Yah said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Yah has said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So he has her repeat to him what she's been commanded. Brethren, one of the messages of the 144,000 that will be speaking with the power of Father's eternal spirit of perfect righteousness is the outline, the clear statement that there's only one God and he's only chosen one people and his covenant is one. And that if you break his covenant, you're not with him, period. And if you despise his people, you're despising his Messiah. And if you despise his Messiah, you're despising the Father himself. Period. That will be made plain, and the force of the message will be backed up by the Father's Spirit so that all hearts will hear it that are on the earth at this time. So that once they make a decision to go against that, and us, the tongue, will make sure you understand it's a conscious decision. Just like this. He had her repeat what she was commanded. Okay, so she wasn't ignorant. Let's continue. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. The first lie told on the planet Earth was from the serpent. Yah said, You're going to die. The serpent said, You're not going to die. Okay, and remember, deception and sin, we are drawn into deception and sin, drawn by things that the deceiver, whoever the deceiver is, understands what our desires are, what our wants are. We're drawn to something we desire or want. And remember, we talked about money. We talked about power, influence, beauty, lust. We're drawn by these things. And so he uses these things. You're lonely. You want a friend. He'll use anything to draw you in to a problem. Okay? And to disobedience. So now he says, You shall not die. Now so somebody's lying. Either the Father's lying or the serpent is lying. Somebody's lying. Okay? Somebody is lying. Can't both be true. Now, again, brethren, the Bible says, Order my steps in your word. Let not any iniquity have dominion over me. if you're going to trust the word of the Most High, and I believe this is his word, trust it or don't. But don't play. Don't believe like Laodiceans and try to be halfway lukewarm. Either you in or you out. That's what the problem with Laodicea is. They want both sides. You can't play both sides. There's no gray area here. Either you're all in on his word, all in from Genesis to Revelation, or you're not. People that say, well, we only follow the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, you're out. Forget it. You're out. Oh, no, we only follow the New Testament. You're out. Forget it. You're out. Either you all in or you're not. You cannot have both sides. It's because somebody is lying. Okay? This ain't about your church, your denomination, your favorite denominational Christian, Muslim, or whatever it is. Either you in or you out. And the thing is that that's why he said, don't be either cold or hot. Don't be lukewarm. You can't be that way. Make a decision. And in this day and age, the way the devil has this earth right now, people are making the decision for him by thinking they're on both sides. You can't have both sides. You cannot. Okay? So here, somebody's lying. So next thing he says, verse 5. For Yah doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So now he's telling her, first of all, you're not going to die. Second of all, God, the Most High Yah told you that because he knows if you were to eat of this tree, you're going to be like him, a goddess, and your husband will be a god. Now, at this point, she's being deceived. She's being deceived. And the Bible tells us that. Notice again, 1 Timothy chapter 2. 1 Timothy chapter 2. We're going to come right back there. 1 Timothy chapter 2, beginning at verse. I'm going to start at verse 12 and go from verse 12 down to verse 14. 1 Timothy 2, 12, 13, and 14. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in some transgression. So she was deceived, she was tricked, she was beguiled. Adam wasn't, which means that when he took that fruit, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew he wasn't a god. He knew she wasn't a god. And he knew what the responsibility was of eating that fruit. And he ate it anyway because he was trying to be with his wife. She did not understand what she was doing. She was tricked. But the result was the same. They both ended up disobeying the Most High. Okay? The result was the same. And that is because of that the man is supposed to be the head. And the woman's supposed to be the helpmeet, not ahead of him, not even equal with him. She's not supposed to be equal with him. That doesn't mean he's supposed to mistreat her. People get that twisted. That's not supposed to mean you're supposed to mistreat or try to control her. The Most High didn't try to control Adam and Eve. How did the Most High handle Adam? How was he created? He was given the power of choice. Many men try to be too controlling and take away the woman's power to choose. It's perverted. But a woman should never try to lead a man, ever. I've had women try to call me up on Zoom or tell me and trying to teach me the word. And I said, do you realize who you're talking to? And some of them younger than me too. I said, what are you talking about? Just because I am 61 years old and you 30 or 40, what you doing? Tell me the word? And I'm a teacher in Israel? What's wrong with you? And don't understand why that's wrong. This is the situation we have today in the spiritual. The situation we have. Don't do that, sisters. Let me explain 2 things to you. Very basic things. Number one thing for any man. any man, especially those of us trying to follow the Most High Yah, number one thing is respect. Don't ever disrespect a man. You want to keep your man? Respect him. Okay? And the same goes for the men. Respect the sisters and be patient with the sisters. The sisters need emotional security for her, with her. They need to know that. And the man needs to know. You understand? That the man needs to know that he has your respect. To try to overtalk him, to try to think you teach something is the ultimate disrespect of the male, especially a black man. That is the Hebrew. Do not do that. You understand? And the brothers understand this woman was made to help you. She's on your side. She was made to be part of your team. So you consult with her. Okay? You consult with her. And understand she's been given certain gifts of instinct and spirit that will help you. Praise the Most High. So now you'll see now, with this, when this happened, man, he gave it up. He gave management of the earth to Asatan. It was given to him, but he gave it up to Asatan right there. That's why the Messiah called Asatan the prince of this world. The prince of this world. Because man gave it up to him. You want to know why bad things happen on the earth? There you go right there. You want to be real about it. Man gave him permission to do bad things by thinking he's a god, by buying into that. And that's why you have a threefold 666 in the beast. It's the beast, the dragon, and the false prophet, all bought into the fact. The dragon is the author of the man as God doctrine. He's the author. That's the first thing he said. You could be God. He's the author of the man is God doctrine. And the beast and the false prophet are followers of that doctrine. The threefold Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are all man-made religions. Man-made. Okay? It's unstable right now, so I'm just waiting until it reconnects. Said the connection is unstable. We're not surprised. Just waiting until it reconnects. Can y'all hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. It might be buffering. Might be buffering. Okay, good. Yes, the man is God doctrine. If you really examine it fully, it's in every aspect of human life. Every aspect of human life. It's in every church. It's in every religion. It's in every business. It's in every entertainment industry. It's in every political industry. It's everywhere. The man is God doctrine is center. Okay, is centered to all. So now, understanding that, now, let's go back now to Revelation, and let's look at each of the sevens. Now, with the exception, there's 4 sevens actually in the book of Revelation. The 4th 7 is the 7 last plagues, but that's taking place in this within the 7s of the churches, seals, and trumpets. The 7 last plagues are in those 7s. But let's look at the churches, the seals, and the trumpets, and let's understand what the significance of each one is. So as we're going into the trumpets now, okay? So now in the churches, Revelation chapter 1. Revelation chapter 1. I'm going to begin Revelation chapter 1. I'm going to begin at verse 16 and go from verse 16 down to verse, there's high pitch ring. Okay, there's something going on. Okay. It's still trying to reconnect, it says on my side. So I'm just going to keep going. And if you can't hear, if something happens and you can't hear, just type it in there. Okay. So Revelation chapter 1 from verse 16 to verse 20. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he laid his right hand upon me, saying, Fear not, I am the first and the last. I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. And have the keys of hell and of death. Write the things which thou hast seen, and the things which are, and the things which shall be hereafter. The mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 candlesticks which thou sawest are the 7 churches. Now, of course, 7 is the number of completion, perfection. The word church has been perverted. In the Bible, a church, testing, want to make sure, okay, now it's back. In the Bible, the word church is not represented. It is not represented by a building with a cross on it and people inside. That is not the church in the Bible, okay? The church in the Bible is an assembly. It's the word ecclesia, which means called out assembly or congregation. The original out is the chosen people, the children of Israel. That is the original church. Okay? Because of New Testament Christianity, it has become a building with believers in New Testament Christianity of a white Jesus. That's what you and I have been taught to think of as church, so that it gets to the point where somebody might say, I went to church today, which means you went to some building where a group of people were gathered together believing in white Jesus. That's what you thought was church. And so when the Bible mentions church, that's what you're taught to think. But ecclesia is a called out congregation, a called out assembly. The nation of Israel was called out of Egypt. That was the church in the wilderness, according to Acts chapter 7. It's called the called out assembly. Okay. And then Isaiah tells us that he's going to call out his people again a second time, but it's going to come from the 4 corners of the earth. So the church in its real sense is a nation. It is the chosen nation. It is Israel. When Messiah says, upon this rock, I will build my church, what he's saying is upon himself, he's building his nation, his Israelite people. And the Bible calls Messiah the chief cornerstone of the building. Okay. So the 7 churches of Revelation are 7 time periods of his chosen, called out congregation. Are you following me in there? So, okay. So we have to first go through and understand that the common vernacular in the English and the European style English that we have, European English language, the European centric culture that we're in, they use church as a building of Christianity. It's so bad, brethren, that if I'm reading my Bible, somebody's going to ask me first thing, are you a Christian? Because they think of the Bible as a Christian book. And the interesting thing is, Christianity is never mentioned. Messiah never said he came to start a religion that's different from what was given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He said he came to save the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So it wasn't about creating a new religion with a European Jesus and calling it New Covenant. That's not what the Bible says. Abraham never started a religion. And so the whole premise of saying Abrahamic religion as if Abraham founded some new religion is false. He was not a follower of any new religion. He was following the same God that Noah followed. And the man that he's named after, Eber, where you get Hebrew. He was following that same God. And Shem. It wasn't any new God or new religion. And he never gave any name to any religion. Okay? So this is what happens when you actually read the Bible. Read the whole thing. Okay? So you have Eber, and that's why they called him Abraham the Hebrew. And then Abraham had Isaac. Isaac the Hebrew. And then Isaac had Jacob. Jacob the Hebrew. But then Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So Israel, Jacob's children, were Israelites that were Hebrew. There is no Christianity anywhere. This is a pretty thick volume of words in this book called the Bible. Very thick. And only 3 times in all of this volume, they mention the word Christian. 3 times. And each time it's a Gentile or a heathen calling an Israelite Christian. It is not the Israelites saying we're now called Christians. And you wouldn't know that unless you read the Bible. So that the true believers are Hebrew Israelites. And why do I say that? Because Eber had multiple children. And all Eber's children are Hebrews. But they're not all Israelites because they're not all descended from Jacob. Okay? Eber had 2 children. One was Perez, one was Joktan. Both of them Hebrews. But the chosen line came through Perez because the earth was divided. Perez means divided. And through that lineage, you get to Abraham, whose name was changed to Abraham. And they were all Hebrews. But then when you get to Jacob, his name was changed by the Most High to Israel. So his children are Hebrew Israelites. Now, to be fair, nowhere in the Bible does it say black Hebrew Israelites or white Hebrew Israelites. That's not in the Bible. It doesn't say white, or black, or yellow, or red Hebrew Israelites. It just says Hebrew Israelites. White came in because the children of Japhet decided they were white. Therefore, and we are supposedly beneath them. They're supposedly better, smarter than us. Us being non-white people. Therefore, we became black. The opposite of white. And we have learned to wear that as a badge of honor. Because we're not intimidated or put down by you calling us black. And that's where some people decide, well, we're going to be black Hebrew Israelites. But there's no black Hebrew Israelites in the Bible. Because all the Hebrews were people of color. Various shades of brown, really. Darker brown down to lighter brown. Okay. So that is how you got Hebrew Israelite. So now the 7 churches of Revelation are representative of 7 time periods of Hebrew Israelites. Even when those Hebrew Israelites were profaning his name, as we read in Ezekiel, calling themselves Christians among the heathen. You following? I know some of y'all are not going to like this at all, but it's not my job whether you like it or not. My job by the Most High, who will punish me if I don't give you all the truth, is to speak the truth from the word as his spirit convicts me. That's my job. Who likes it, who doesn't, who receives it, who doesn't, is irrelevant to what I'm supposed to do. Irrelevant. It's supposed to be me bringing this truth as it is given to me by his spirit and his word. And it's not for me to understand. You see, when I was in the SDA church and Christianity, they were very concerned with how many people they had in their denomination. They would always give you numbers. Or we have 10 million or 1 million, and we just added 300,000. They're looking for numbers because the more numbers, they feel they're better. And all the Christian churches do that. How many numbers do we have in our church? How many more did we add to our rolls? They want the money and the numbers. But Israel was never supposed to be numbered. Only ones numbered were the men prepared for war. And in the end, it's the 144,000. But David was punished for trying to number the whole nation. Remember that? Because they're not supposed to number them. So we don't care how many or who. Sometimes he would tell a prophet, prophesy to the wind, prophesy to the mountains, prophesy to this valley of bones. Because the numbers don't matter. Numbers don't matter. So my job that I have to answer to and give an account for in the day of judgment is, did I teach what he gave me by his spirit to teach? How many respond positively, negatively, how many come or don't come, who believe and don't believe? That's not my concern. My concern is it true? The 7 churches were 7 messages to the Hebrew Israelite people from the 1st century AD to the return of Messiah. So when you see in these 7 churches, it was a message. Now, the Bible says here, the 7 stars are the angels to the 7 churches. Angel here, the word angel means messenger or messenger. So you have messengers bringing a message during each time period. So there's a unique message to the Hebrews for each time period. And we went through them. Okay, that was the 7 churches. Then we went to the 7 seals. And you recall that Messiah was brought to the Father because the Father had a book in his hand, and Messiah was the only one found worthy to open that book. And the Bible tells us the book represented his kingdom. It was given him a kingdom. Okay, and that's in Daniel chapter 7. That's why you have to compare Daniel 7 to Revelation chapter 5 to understand what they're talking about. In Daniel chapter 7, beginning at verse 13, Daniel 7, beginning at verse 13, reading verse 13 down to verse 14. Daniel chapter 7, from 13 to 14, because it's the same thing as saying in Revelation chapter 5. Okay, but you have to actually read the whole Bible to understand that. Please read your Bible. Read your Bible prayerfully, humbly, with the Most High's guidance by his spirit. Most people don't do that. If you do read your Bible, if you finish even your first reading, and we're almost done at the beginning of the new Hebrew year soon, you would have done something that most civilians on the planet Earth has never done. The Bible's been around a long time, and not many people have read it from cover to cover, even once, especially among people that claim to believe what it says. Okay, so you would be among the few on the whole entire planet Earth that have done that. And the Most High will bless you for that. And if you undertake to do it again, all for his glory, he will bless you even more. Okay? So Daniel chapter 7, verse 13 and 14. Notice what it says. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days. And they brought him near before him. Ancient of Days is the Father. Son of Man is Messiah. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom. So when Messiah was brought to the Father, he was given, Messiah, a kingdom which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So when the Father is sitting on the throne in Revelation 5 with a book on it in his hand, and only Messiah is worthy to take the book and to open it. Messiah is worthy because the Bible tells us, let's go to Revelation chapter 5. Revelation chapter 5, beginning at verse 1. Revelation 5, beginning at verse 1. And going down to verse 7. From 1 to 7, Revelation chapter 5. And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book. Neither, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb, as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Yahweh sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. Messiah was worthy because the Bible says he prevailed to receive the book, which is the kingdom. The kingdom is made up of people. The people of the kingdom is who he received. With the kingdom, he receives the New Jerusalem, which is the capital of the kingdom. He receives the New Jerusalem. He receives the 144,000 who are the bride, and all of the people that are part of the kingdom. They're part of Messiah now. Kingdom. He's been given a kingdom. So it's his kingdom. So that book represents the people of the kingdom. Another word for that the Bible uses is the book of life. So now in the 7 churches you have Yah's chosen from the 1st century to the return of Messiah and establishment of the kingdom. In the 7 seals you have the people from each era of the kingdom. The people from each era of the kingdom and what went on in each era of the kingdom with Yah's chosen Hebrew Israelite people. Now with the trumpets, you have a different thing. Revelation chapter 8. As we remember, the trumpets begin with an altar of incense. The altar of incense, where the incense represents the prayers of the saints. So now you're going to deal with trumpets, which are a warning. Remember now, trumpets are a warning of something to come, a warning, an introduction of something that's coming. Messiah was the trumpet on Mount Sinai when the Father was coming. The trumpets sound on the 1st day of the 7th month before the 10th day, the Day of Atonement, which is also every 50th year, the Jubilee. So the trumpets represent something happening, something coming, a warning. So here you have 7 trumpets warning the Israelite people of apostasy and things going on the earth that affect them from the beginning of the 1st century all the way to the return of the Messiah. And it starts off in Revelation chapter 8, as we saw. And we're just reviewing to get ready to get to this 6th trumpet, which is where the 2 witnesses are. Revelation chapter 8. I'm going to start at verse 2. Verse 2. From verse 2 down to verse 5. Revelation chapter 8, from verse 2 to verse 5. And I saw the 7 angels which stood before Yah, and to them were given 7 trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer. And there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before Yah out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. So you had here angel with incense, which prayers went to the Father. Then he took another group of incense and put it in the censer, but this time they wasn't going to the Father. He threw it to the earth. So you have the saints whose prayers were being heard, and then you had people whose prayers were not being heard. And this is represented in the 7 trumpets. When we get to the 6th trumpet, you all remember, we started off in the 1st trumpet with the Father's voice as hail mingled with fire, 1st century, in the opening march of the gospel message of the power of Yah's righteousness and Messiah. And then we saw after that the attack on Yah's chosen people and the attack from Diocletian in trying to destroy Yah's chosen. Then we saw in the 3rd church, we saw the wormwood of the doctrine of coming out of man's own imagination, of his own heart, and trying to mix and bring in the true chosen Hebrews into the false doctrine that became Christianity. Then the 4th trumpet, we saw the establishment of the Catholic Church, which is now where you get modern Christianity, because all Christian denominations that are out here today, every single last one of them originated in the Catholic Church. Everyone. They all broke off during the so-called Protestant Reformation. There was no Reformation because nothing got reformed. The Jesuits were commissioned and the Counter-Reformation began, and they infiltrated every reformed, so-called Reformed church. So today, you don't even call it Protestant anymore. They call it evangelical. And they ain't evangelizing nobody for the Most High. They're evangelizing everybody for the beast. Okay, so that's how that worked. So we went through all of them. Then you saw the rise of Islam, and you saw Islam attack Christianity. And we saw the attack begin in 1303. See, some people get it confused. And let me just bring this little tidbit out. 1299 is when the Ottomans were formed as a group of Muslims under a family called Ottoman were formed in 1299. And many say the Ottoman Empire began then, but that wasn't what Revelation is not dealing with the beginning of the Ottoman Empire when it talks about Revelation, the 5th trumpet. It's dealing with the attack from the Ottomans on the Byzantines. That attack started in 1303, right? With the Dembo attack that in 1303. That's when the first battle that the Ottomans beat the Byzantines. And Dembo means change of faith. That's when it started, 1303. And it ended with the fall of Constantinople, which was a stronghold of Christianity in the Byzantine Empire. It was taken over by the Muslims in 1453, exactly 150 years later, as Revelation chapter 9 shows us in the 5th trumpet. And the name was changed to Istanbul, which it is to this day. So many people get it confused and think that it going to the beginning of the Ottoman Empire. That's not true. It's the beginning of the Ottomans' fight against the Byzantines, 1303. And so it talks about 5 months. It's 150 years in prophetic time, 1303 to 1453, 150 years. There you go. Okay. And from 1453, when Istanbul was now Istanbul, it wasn't Constantinople anymore. You had a 391-year period that came to 1844, when Messiah was supposed to be finishing his work as the high priest. But there was a delay, as we know. There was a delay. The delay was this. The Hebrew Israelites were in chains. They were in chains. And so there was nobody ready to be sealed yet. The Most High allowed the civil war. I don't care what everybody tried to tell you. The Civil War was about taking chains off the necks of the Hebrew Israelites. Period. Period. And you know, they had other kind of skirmishes around the world. For example, my great-grandfather from Jamaica, he was called at the time, they called them Maroons. Now, Maroons still exist, but I want to tell you a little bit about Maroons. You see, they were beating the Hebrew Israelites to death in Jamaica and having them chop sugar cane. See, in the United States, it was cotton and tobacco, but in Jamaica, it was sugar, baby. They had us chopping that sugar cane. Okay? My grandfather and some of them Hebrews that was with him, they took the machetes and they decided to do other work with it. And they ran into the mountains of Jamaica called Blue Mountain. Some of y'all from Jamaica would know, you know, Mandeville, Jamaica. They went up in there and said, yeah, come up in here and get us. And them brothers chased them people off that island. Okay? But it was like a civil war. See, the bloody thing. The Haitians said, oh, no, we're not going to have this no more. We sending y'all back to France, Napoleon. And they took their machetes because they were also chopping sugar cane. Sent them brothers back to France. Okay? So then the Civil War came. And the chains was taken off our necks. But in each case, the children of Yafet redoubled their efforts. Okay? Over here, we got Jim Crow, and they still was lynching us. And they still was dogging us. And they still are. They ain't stopped. In Jamaica, Manley became president. They so-called got independence, and the whole place been run down ever since because their government, the agencies send their powers in there with the drugs and stuff. And Jamaica's dangerous now. And of course, we know Haiti been getting earthquakes, been getting smacked down. And every time money comes, IMF send that money to a baby doc or a papa doc or somebody that's in their place and then try to ruin the whole people of Haiti. It's real. Same thing in Brazil. Same thing in Colombia. Same thing in Mexico, in Oaxaca. Same thing in Panama. Same thing. It don't stop. It don't stop anywhere. You understand? Because it's prophesied. So anyway, that was a warning shot to get them chains off our necks so we could start learning how to read the King's English. They didn't want us to do that. They just banged us over the head with this Bible, with Christianity. And prior to that, when our fathers left Jerusalem running from the Romans, they came through Egypt, was now Egypt. They went into Africa, into West Africa mostly. Then Muhammad and them came and converted us to Islam. So here we were in the Mali Empire. Here we were in the Ashanti Empire. Here we were in Timbuktu. And we was Muslims then, though we was Hebrews. Some of us still remember who we was, though. And them Hamites sold us to the children of Yafet in the transatlantic slave trade. And they took some of us to the sub-Saharan Africa slave trade. And some of us still living in poverty in places like Iran, Iraq, Yemen, living in garbage. Really Hebrews and not even knowing who they are. Southern Egypt, Hebrews. Okay? That's the history. That happened there in the 5th century with Islam. Then came to the 6th trumpet, and that's where we are today. And the 6th trumpet opens up with the Messiah, who was in the book of Daniel, if you recall. I'm just reviewing what we already know. He was in the book of Daniel, recall, lifting up his hand, saying 3.5 years, 3.5 years. This thing going to be over in 3.5, where we live, where it's going to be on. He said there should be time no longer. And I'm going to show them. And he said the mystery is going to be finished. What's the mystery? When he coming back, that's the mystery. It's going to be shown to the chosen people. You want to know when Messiah is coming back? You better listen to the Hebrew Israelites, because we're the ones going to get the revelation of that. It was purposely done for us. Remember, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which Yah gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, whose name really is Yachanan, the Hebrew Israelite. Just telling you. Okay, so here we are with the two witnesses. Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11. Okay, Revelation chapter 11, beginning at verse 1. Revelation chapter 11. See, when you listen to Christianity, they'll give you all the European history of these things that I just shared with you. But when you understand who the chosen people are and that Christianity has nothing to do with that they really, Christianity comes out of the beast. And when it says we profane his holy name, we becoming Muslims, Sunni Muslims, Nation of Islam Muslims, Christians of all denominations, and we thinking we doing the right thing and following God or Allah, and we don't understand those. None of them in here telling us to do that. The religion we follow is the one, the God that named Abraham from Abraham, the one that changed the name, that called Isaac before he was born and changed Jacob's name to Israel. That's the one we follow. The one that called Abraham, and then we are his children. And he has no name of religion. He just has a name. His name is Yah, and it's short for Yahweh. Some people say Yahuwah, whatever. And his Messiah is the Lion of the tribe of Judah that came to save the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Somebody said, well, what about the Gentiles? He come to save Gentiles too? Yep, he sent an Israelite of the tribe of Benjamin named Paul to give y'all the message. Yes, he did. He sent an Israelite of the tribe of Benjamin with a Levite, Barnabas, the son of consolation, to give y'all this message. To give y'all a chance to get grafted into the truth. And that ain't changed. It ain't changed. See, people get angry at me. I got people, man, Christians that I used to be, SDA, coming at me, talking about, you're going to be lost. You teach people to be lost. Ain't none of them ever read the Bible. They spend so much time with Ellen White, they don't know whether they coming or going. And I'm especially frustrated with the ones that are of Hebrew blood and don't understand who they are. Brother and sisters, follow the truth. Like I said, either you in or not. But this is the book right here. If you want to go follow the Quran, go do that. You want to follow Book of Mormon, go do that. You want to read Ellen White, go do that. But don't say you're in, because this don't have none of that. Either you in or you not. Make a choice and stand for something. Okay, for something. I respect people that stand for something better than somebody that stand for nothing. So here, Revelation chapter 11, beginning at verse 1. Revelation chapter 11, beginning at verse 1. Revelation 11, we'll read to start us off from verse 1 down to verse 2, just to start us off 1 to 2. Okay, now you're going to really get the understanding here of the Bible being a book made up of very special numbers. Okay, let's take a look. Revelation chapter 11, verse 1 and 2. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of Yahweh and the altar and them that worship therein. Stop. Question. You remember the temple that Moses was told to make, right? Moses was told to create a sanctuary. Remember that? And Moses was told that this sanctuary was a pattern of an original. Both Hebrews chapter 9 and 10. Remember, we read that. And then, of course, we know in Exodus that was the case. Question. Was that sanctuary, was that made for the Romans to come in and worship inside of it? Was it for the Egyptians to come and worship inside of it? Was that sanctuary made for the Babylonians to come and worship inside of it? Well, then who was supposed to be worshiping in there? I mean, it paid for somebody. Moses was a Levite. Aaron was a Levite. That was made for Israel only. Only Israel. So when he's saying, measure the temple and them that worship therein, he's talking about Israel. When they made a temple, Solomon made a temple, it was destroyed. And then later on, they rebuilt the temple. After they rebuilt the temple, Paul ran into a young man that he was his protege. This young man's name in the Bible is called Timothy. You'll read about him in Acts chapter 16. Timothy's father was a Gentile. His mother was a Hebrew Israelite. And so the people of the town they were in knew that his father was a Gentile and his mother was an Israelite. Paul wanted him to be able to worship in the temple. So Paul went and circumcised Timothy, and he was able to come into the temple because now he was officially Hebrew. That was Acts 16. Right after Acts 15, where they said Gentiles don't need to be circumcised. Acts 15. Timothy was not just a Gentile because he had Hebrew blood. So y'all need to understand, it ain't mother or father, it's the bloodline. Bloodline is bloodline. Okay, we've been away from the land too long to be talking about mother and father. You understand? We've been away from the land for 2,000 years. Got all kind of blood in us, but the most important blood is the Hebrew one. Okay, so the altar and the temple are talking about Hebrew Israelites. Gentiles might say, well, what about us? Grafted in Hebrew Israelites. That what y'all are. Grafted in among us. The strangers that dwell among us. Leviticus chapter 16. The strangers that dwell among us. They don't have to be. That was the point. Because there were Pharisees that were coming in the beginning of Acts chapter 15. You will read about it. Also in Galatians chapter 2, there were Pharisees, which Pharisee did not exist prior to the New Testament. There's no such thing in Moses as a Pharisee. But the Pharisees were coming and telling the converted Pharisees to Messiah, were telling the Gentiles, if you really want to be among us, because that's what the object was, to be among the Israelites, you need to be circumcised. And Paul was saying, no, they don't need to be circumcised because they're not Abraham's seed. Then he brought in and said, well, Abraham was uncircumcised when he received the promise, and these are uncircumcised. So these can receive the promise of Messiah without being circumcised, because Abraham was told your seed needs to be circumcised. That's the point here. Your seed needs to be circumcised. So everyone of Abraham's seed, of which Timothy was through his mother, needed to be circumcised. If you're not Abraham's seed, you could be circumcised if you want to, but it's not a matter of salvation. They said you can't be saved unless you're circumcised. That's what they were telling the Gentiles. And Paul was like, no, the Gentiles could be saved without being circumcised because they're not Abraham's seed. Okay? So Abraham, if you go back and look at that command, he said everyone that's your seed needs to be circumcised. And the Israelites still believe that. Everyone that's the seed of Abraham needs to be circumcised. But Gentiles who are not the seed, you weren't given that command. Okay? You weren't given that command. That's why they said you were putting a yoke on the Gentiles that the Most High didn't want us to bear like that. No. So the Gentiles were told, don't eat blood, don't eat things strangled. In other words, follow the laws of the diet. Go, and it said in Acts 15, go to the synagogue on every Sabbath day and you can learn Moses, but you don't need to be circumcised. That's what was Acts 15. Then 16, right after that, Paul takes Timothy and circumcises him. So if Timothy was a Gentile, he wouldn't need to be circumcised. But his mother was a Hebrew. Okay? Oh, and I'm so sorry. I was supposed to, Brother Williams had sent me something, Brother Williams, and you see, I told you what kind of week I had. I was supposed to make Brother Williams and Sister Botham, I was supposed to make you some admins in here, and I did not do it, and I apologize for that, and I'm sorry. I have to do that, and I'm going to add y'all as moderators in this room. I just made Botham, but Brother Williams, where you at? Let me see. Is he in here? Where's he at? There he is. Let me make you a moderator right now. I think I figured out how to do it, I think. So now y'all should be able to take care of this business when you get fools like this that come into the room, right? Y'all should be able to do that. Let me just, yeah. And we get rid of, yeah. Okay. hopefully we took care of that business. Sorry about that, y'all. I've been so busy lately. I have not been able to take care of that problem. Sorry about that. But I just got it. I got it. All right. Thank you. Praise the Most High. All right. There you go. Good. All right. Let's continue. So now in chapter 11, it says, measure the temple and them that worship therein. Measure the temple. So now when in the Bible, when things are being measured, it's being measured against the perfect standard of righteousness. That's when you see something being measured. It's measured against righteousness. Okay. So now, because they measured, remember all the measurements of Moses and covered in gold. Gold represent holiness to Yahweh and perfect righteousness. And then, of course, you had the plumb line in Amos. And they said, no, you're not measuring up and coming through. You see, you'll see that. David measured and slaughtered some and kept some. So you measure according to the righteousness of the Father, which is measured in the covenant, right? So he said, measure the temple and them which worship therein. What does that mean? That means if you are receiving the Hebrew Messiah, you are understanding that he is now in the most holy place, right? We understand he's in the most holy place now. And he's in there preparing to seal Israel. And we know in 2027, it's going to be what? The 40th Jubilee. The 40th Jubilee. 40 is an important number. 40 is the time of testing. Jubilee, every 50th year, is when all land is restored to the original people of Israel. Okay? And it's my contention that at that time, the 3.5-year period starts. Let me say that again. At that time, the fall of 2027, the 3.5-year period starts. The 3.5 years. Revelation chapter 11, verse 2. And the court, which is without the temple, leave out and measure it not, for it is given to the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. So the most holy place where the Messiah is, we are in there. We are all praying to our Father in there where Messiah is, and we're seeking the cleansing of our sin. And Father promises that through Messiah. And we're seeking Father's righteousness in the spirit of the Holy Ghost, which is promised to us as we repent. The difference between us and the Gentiles in this worship situation, we're worshiping the true God, the only one. Then we're the chosen people, and those Gentiles with us are the chosen people. And then we are also receiving his righteousness through repentance. The key here is repentance. We don't deserve this righteousness, no matter what our bloodline is. We have profaned the Father's holy name. But because of his promise to our fathers, and because his holy name's sake, he's going to bless us with his spirit. He's going to bless us and use us. You understand? So that's why. Measure the temple and then which them, but the outer court, those that are not worshiping in the most holy place, that are not seeking Father Yah and the Most High's Son, Messiah, the Hebrew line of the tribe of Judah, not white Jesus. You're not going to find him. Ain't no white Jesus in there. Ain't no white Jesus in there. Okay? You ain't in there. So the court outside that holy place, leave that to the Gentiles. And they tread the holy city underfoot 42 months. What does that mean? That means they're blaspheming Yah. They're blaspheming what the kingdom is. They're blaspheming who the Messiah is. When you change the identity of the Messiah, you just blaspheme. That's why you have to understand who the Messiah really is. When he says he's the Lion of the tribe of Judah, he's of Israel, and not, all due respect to the Ashkenazis, he's not of y'all. Y'all are Europeans. That's why you call Ashkenazi. You come from Ashkenaz, Europe. You were converted to a religion you call Judaism. You were converted by people who were Edomites, like Herod. That's where you got that religion from. And you added to it this book called the Talmud, which is also not in here. Not in here. There's no Talmud in here. No, the Ashkenazis were converted to the same religion that is originated with the scribes, with the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and they call it Judaism. Abraham never gave a name Judaism to what he believed. The tribe of Judah never gave a name Judaism to what they believed. The tribe of Levi never gave a name Judaism to what they believed. There is no name. And why is that, brethren? Why is there no name? It goes back to the principle that was given in Exodus chapter 20. When you build an altar for the Most High, don't put man's tools on the rocks, because when man's tools touch it, you have polluted it. Why is that the principle? When you put a man-made name on Yah, you just polluted. There is no Judaism in the Bible. It might be in the Talmud, but it's not in the Bible. There is no Islam in the Bible. It might be in Allah's Islam, in the Quran, but it's not in the Bible. There is no Christianity in the Bible. There's the Catholic Church, but there is no Christianity with white Jesus. White is man-made. White Jesus is man-made. If he's not in the Bible, guess what? He doesn't exist to those of us that are following the Bible. The Bible tells us he's the Lion of the tribe of Judah, a region of the earth where people had color, and none of them called themselves white. Let's follow the word, y'all. Follow the word now. Don't try to make it flippant. Oh, his color doesn't matter. Must have mattered for the last 1,500 years. We've been showing a white Jesus. Must have mattered to somebody. When we came over here and changed, that's what they've been showing us since 1619, white Jesus. Don't cop out and say it don't matter when your people did it. Don't do that. That's a cop out. It's a sorry cop out. It's a sorry cop out. Be real. Your people brought white Jesus and banged him over our head, and you tried to do it to make us worship you. Let's be real about it, right? You tried to do it to make us worship you because he looked like you, but really he looks like me, and he's darker than me. Okay, you want to be real? Let's be real then. See, brothers and sisters, we don't have time to half step. We're in the generation that's going to see the return of the Messiah. We're in the generation that's going to see this world system be destroyed. There's no time to half step. Either you're going to be real or don't. Okay, this is not the time. This ain't 1952, 62, or 72. This ain't 82 or 92. This ain't 2002. This is 222. And we have a few years before this thing is over. Okay? Too late to make America great again. It's over. Only for those that are in the truth is this kingdom coming. So no, you banged white Jesus over our head since we've been here in 1619 and brought us here in chains. And then when you finish with us, because we built your whole nation and got you rich, now you don't need us anymore. So you put us in ghettos and you flooded the place with heroin and crack. And you destroyed our men. But it's all good. We came out of slavery with 4 million. Now we're 46 million. And you've been continually trying to destroy us. And the Most High has multiplied us by 10. The Egyptians were grieved because of the Hebrews. You understand? Nothing changed. Whatever was is what is and what's going to happen. Let's be real now, y'all. Ain't time for faking, man. It's time to be real. Those that are real, those that are repentant, the Most High bless your spirit. Those that are not, you're going to get what you got coming. Praise Yah. So we're going to take a break now. I'm sorry, we went a little longer, but y'all seen the issues we've been having. So we're going to take a little break right here. It's 11:34 here in Arizona. It's 1:34 in DC and on the East Coast. I'm going to take a little break right here. I'm going to come back in 45 minutes, 12:15 local time. And then we'll come back and continue this here. But I needed to go through that. As usual, we need to go through a little background. We've been getting beat up here on the internet with all of this stuff going on. But praise the Most High. I want to praise y'all for all y'all and all of your support. I want to thank especially Brother Williams and Sister Bataman for your help. Sister, listen to your body. I'm also, I got you here. I'm getting ready to do the same thing there. I got a couple people that I already had in mind to get this thing done. Let's see. I think that's it right now. But I definitely wanted Bataman. I'm looking for Isha. I wanted Bataman and Sister Bataman and Brother Williams here. We have been talking about this. When I see Isha, I'm going to put her down too. But then y'all know what y'all got to do, right? When some fool comes in here starting all kind. Yeah, look at that. Man. Praise the Most High, though. So about, like I said, maybe 45 minutes from now, we'll be back by the grace of the Most High to go part 2 of Revelation chapter 11, the 6th church, the 6th trumpet with the 2 witnesses. We're just getting started. We're just getting warmed up here. There you go. I was looking for you, Isha. I couldn't see you. Sorry about that. I just added you, so you should be able to help out with Bataman, Brother Williams. Y'all do your thing. We know I'm going to leave this to y'all. Y'all got it. Praise the Most High. Bless you, and Most High bless you and keep you. May the Most High cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Shalom.